I didn't think much of it when I mounted that satellite dish. Saturday morning, the kind where you actually notice the breeze and the smell of cut grass, time moving slow enough to feel real again, I finally just did it after months of telling myself I'd get around to it. And look, it wasn't for cable news or reruns of old westerns, though I'll admit that's a perk. I put it up for something practical. After 3 decades of keeping encrypted comms running for the feds, you learn to never trust just one wire. Fiber optics great until it's not. One storm and you're on hold for hours, or a backhoe takes out the street and suddenly the world's on pause. The dish was my insurance. Quiet, tucked out of sight behind the chimney cokes routed through the attic grounded right. I locked the signal, tested it, left it idle. Slept well that night thinking I'd covered every angle. Next morning there's a paper on my door, red plastic sleeve folded. Neat. Looks like one of those HOA newsletters with the cheery clip art trees on the front. I almost threw it out, but when I opened it, I got that old punch to the gut feeling. Notice of violation. All caps bold like someone's shouting. Unapproved exterior fixture, non-compliant with aesthetic standards, potential obstruction of community visual cohesion. If you ever decoded defense contracts for a living, you'd recognize that particular flavor of nonsense. And there at the bottom signed Karen Malbridge, HOA President. Late 40s, tight blonde bun, red lipstick, clipboard always at her side like a badge. The sort who never saw a day of combat but knows every line of the rulebook by heart. According to the letter, I had 7 days to get rid of the unauthorized satellite apparatus or the fines would start rolling $100 a day, escalating. I actually laughed. My house sits at the end of a cul-de-sac shielded by old pines and oaks. No way anyone could even see that dish from the street. Unless, of course, they trespassed, which I now suspected Karen had done. Later, I found fresh boot prints in the pine mulch near the fence leading right up to the only gap in the hedge with a clear sight line to the roof. By Monday, the neighborhood was buzzing. Gee, I wonder who had stirred up the Nextdoor app about satellite radiation risks and unregulated transmissions. Next day, Karen shows up. Doesn't ring the bell, just stands in my yard, arms folded, staring at my house like she's about to call in a SWAT team. Mr. Harden, she starts, voice clipped, you're in violation. Section 4, Article 9, expect to comply. I met her gaze and told her, calm as a judge, FCC rules trump HOA guidelines. That article's been dead since 1996. She clearly didn't expect that answer. The dish is an eyesore, she snapped. An eyesore no one can see unless they trespass, I said. She turned on her heels clacking like gavels. That night I poured a bourbon and dug out the old HOA handbook. Every word, every amendment, nothing about broadband, nothing about backup communication arrays, just hedges, mailboxes, and paint colors. It should have ended there, but Karen wasn't about reason. She was about control. 3 days later, I got a second notice, this one threatening legal action with grainy photos taken from behind the hedge. In one window, you could see the reflection of a red windbreaker, hers. Not surveillance, but hunting. And that's when I remembered something important. I built the network here. Literally, back when the subdivision was half mud, the developer asked around and found out I knew how to wire things right. I put in the first relay, let the HOA piggyback my uplink for redundancy. They never thanked me, never upgraded, just quietly forgot whose hands held their digital lives together. By Friday, Karen was obsessed. Laminated flyers appeared on the mailbox, bulletin satellite dishes in visual harmony with a blurry photo of my roof circled in red. Suddenly, the neighbors who always waved now looked the other way. Someone slipped a pamphlet under my door, dangers of unregulated transmissions. Karen did slow drive-bys, her Lexus inching past as she filmed my house. I caught her crouching by my fence, pretending to tie her shoe while she aimed her phone through the slats. I opened the gate. She nearly fell backward. You can't harass me on my own property, I said. I'm enforcing the rules, she spat, brushing invisible dust from her pantsuit. You brought this on yourself. I asked, what are you afraid of? Karen's secret transmissions to Pluto? She tried to look tough, but the cracks were showing. That night, another letter from the HOA, now accusing me of antagonizing board members. I started documenting everything: photos, memos, statutes, the original sign plans for the relay network, the works. Karen doubled down, launching a town walk, basically a parade of residents, led to my house so she could point at the dish. Disharmonic elevation variance, she called it, as if that meant something. Neighbors looked confused. I stepped out, binder in hand. Anyone want to see the contract authorizing my system? Karen tried to shut me down. That's not relevant, she barked. Isn't it? I asked calmly. Because your Zoom calls run through that relay box 20 feet behind the dish. That evening, Mark Rowley, a young guy who worked in cybersecurity, showed up with a six-pack. He'd read the HOA post, seen the drama, and wasn't buying it. I showed him the paperwork. He whistled. You're why my ping's so good. He promised if she cuts you off, I'll get a petition started. Next day, a third violation notice, this one stapled to my gate, red-inked. Remove the dish in 48 hours or face legal action. That was my line in the sand. I didn't scare easy. I emailed an old friend at DOE Secure Networks to double-check federal law protected me. Printed the regs, highlighted the relevant section, and waited. When Karen showed up again, I held the printout. Federal code overrides your bylaws. Look it up. Or go ahead, file the lawsuit. She took the paper, didn't even read it. You think you're protected? The board doesn't like residents who act above the community. I told her I'm not above it. I just remember what it's built on. She walked off stiff as a post. But Karen didn't stop. Next morning, she posted flyers. Community security alert: unauthorized signal transmitters may interfere with emergency communications. Blurry photos, red triangles. I pulled them down, but the rumors spread. Even Brett, the teenage grocery clerk, asked if I had a government dish. At the next HOA meeting, Karen tried to whip up the crowd, claiming my unauthorized equipment endangered the community. I stood up and in plain English told everyone how I'd built their network free with written approval, protected by federal law. People started Googling on the spot. Karen tried to cut me off, but the mood had shifted. That night, a new sign appeared in my yard: under investigation, illegal installation violation, 3 of 3. Next step, termination of services. It rattled me for a second. What services did she think she could cut off trash mail? I tore the sign out, snapped it in half. But the seed was planted. I walked out back to the weatherproof relay box behind my garage, the digital heart of Ridgeview, still humming just as I'd built it. Quietly, I logged into the admin panel. 2 uplinks cable and that satellite Karen wanted gone. If I flipped a switch, the whole neighborhood would find out who really ran their lives online. But first, I checked with neighbors. Greg, the teacher. Best internet I've ever had, he said. Others agreed, solid service, no clue. It was my uplink. That night I wrote a cease and desist to the HOA, warning them not to mess with my equipment and reminding them termination of services can cut both ways. Next morning I hovered over the disable uplink button. 10 years, no recognition, never asked for a thing. Now I was the villain. I clicked. The system throttled down to a crawl. By 6:14, the first complaints hit the group chat work. Logins failed, video calls froze, security systems glitched. By 7, Karen was pacing outside, yelling into her phone, rattling my shed door, looking for someone to blame. The HOA's legal threat came by email: bad grammar, worse formatting. I replied with the signed 2014 contract giving me the right to pull the plug. No answer, just panic. By noon, a petition was circulating: remove Karen as president. By evening, city code enforcement showed up, polite and professional. I showed the officer a decade's worth of approvals. He shook my hand. "You're the first to fight back and win," he said quietly. "Not done yet," I replied. The next day, the whole block was in an uproar. No internet, no cloud, nothing. Neighbors came by my door, worried, apologetic. I told them, if it's an HOA thing, talk to Karen. The realization dawned quick. Flyers from the board urged patience. Nobody believed it. At the clubhouse, chaos. Laptops open, deadlines, missed people finally talking. Mark walked in with a stack of proof the backbone network was mine, built and run by me, and now down because someone pushed too far. Susan, the retiree who never spoke up, stood and said, "Time to hold a vote." The crowd fell silent. By nightfall, Karen was out 71 votes to 8. Day after Ridgeview, Pines felt different. Neighbors waved again. Someone left a note under my door. "Thank you for standing up to her. We won't be afraid anymore." I wrote a letter, told the real story, how I'd built the network, why I unplugged it, what community was supposed to mean. People shared it. Someone laminated a copy for the bulletin board. The interim board met outside, asked me to lead a committee. "Only if there are no secrets," I said. They agreed. A week later, Karen, thinner, humbled, came by to apologize. "You never asked," I told her. "That's fair," she said. She admitted she lost perspective, admitted she made herself the villain. She was moving away. I told her forgiveness wasn't mine to give. Try the neighbors she'd hurt. And she did, going door to door with real apologies. After that, things actually changed. People started living again. The Ramirez kids put wind chimes back on their porch. Mrs. Callahan raised her Navy flag. Tom finally hung his swing. The block breathed. Folks brought chili pie, asked for help setting up mesh systems. No money, just gratitude. At a tech workshop, a kid asked if I'd fix the internet if it ever broke again. "Only if you promise not to blame me for missed homework," I joked. Later, I saw my letter on the new community corkboard. Community isn't control, it's connection. That wasn't my line, but it fit. The interim board offered me the presidency. I laughed. "No chance, but I'll help build the foundation." That night, the porch lights twinkled, the street alive with laughter and music, not a single person caring about the dish on my roof. It's still up there. Not a symbol of rebellion now, but of resilience, of what happens when quiet people finally say enough. I earned this home every inch, every wire, every connection. The war was over, and I won not with lawsuits or noise, but with the truth. For the first time in years, I slept easy. And you know what? It wasn't about the dish. It never was. It was about connection, and finally we had it. So tell me, was I right to fight back, or did I go too far? In a community, what matters more, the rules or the people? I'd love to hear where you stand.